Ladies and gentlemen, what is up and welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be talking all about one of the new champions coming, next Thursday in the Crystals, Howard the Duck, guys. He's currently one of the bosses in the Howard and Hyperion's Holiday Hijinks holiday event. So you got that going on at the moment, so you get a chance to fight him. And in terms of his look, in terms of his animations, he's definitely one of the coolest characters to be added to the game. He is so awesome. I really enjoy his animations, his moveset, the flavor of the character, all that stuff is really cool. However, kind of reflecting on his abilities a little bit more and thinking about you know, the context in which characters are used in the game, you know, the three main contexts, you know, for me, which I judge the usefulness of a character, is how good are they for, you know, Alliance War Attack, Alliance War Defense, and Alliance Quest, and also occasionally the fourth one of, you know, are they going to be a useful tool for tackling, like, crazy events that are added to the game. And in terms of, like, all of those criteria, I don't really think Howard fits very well into any of them. I love the champion, I love his design, he does a lot of weird and wacky stuff, which we're going to talk about, but I'm just not exactly sure where he fits. So I'm very interested, once we talk about his abilities and stuff, and I, you know, explain all of it in hopefully a nice amount of detail, to get your thoughts and opinions on what you believe Howard the Duck is going to be a useful champion for. So let's start off by talking about his signature ability, Mash All the Buttons. Amazing flavor on this. So when brought to 60% and 30% maximum health, only triggers once per fight. Howard frantically mashes all the buttons on his loader console and has a 94% chance. Now this is based on the signature ability level being maxed. Kind of when you averagely dupe the champion, it's going to be about like 60-70% for most people. So he will either trigger one of two things, which is a self-repair, healing 20% of his maximum health, or a thunderquack, dealing 135% of his attack as energy damage. Both of these effects last 7 seconds and are interrupted if Howard the Duck is stunned. Now, I think one of the very fair comparisons with the signature ability to make is also to another tech champion, which is Ultron, who at both 50% and 25% has a 100% chance to recover 25% of his maximum health, which I think is considerably better than this. You know, when for the average player, guys, if you are lucky enough to get and dupe Howard the Duck, you're only going to have about 60-70% chance to proc one or two of these effects. And I think in most scenarios, you know, even when you're playing the champion or even when you're defending, I think most of the time you probably do want it to be the heal. Maybe when you're defending, arguably, you know, have this champion as a defender, arguably the energy damage could be a little bit more valuable. But it's just such a, you know, for the average person, it's not like 100% chance to proc any one of the effects. Well, the effect first off, and then it's a 50-50 between having the self-repair and a little bit of additional damage. So overall, you know, it's a lot less reliable and a lot less useful in comparison to an ability that Ultron has even as an unduped champion. So initially when I was reading this signature ability, I was like, oh, this is really cool, but now it just seems like so unreliable and unpractical to actually use. So I've kind of gone off the signature ability a bit. I mean, it's like a nice addition for the character to have, but you know, it's so unreliable. That is the big problem with the signature ability. But let's talk about what the character does unawakened, guys. So when attacked and when attacking, as Howard takes and deals damage, his temper builds, increasing his attack and crit damage by 10% per stack. These stacks are lost over time as Howard eventually cools off. Now, I think the highest I've actually seen these stacks go, and I may be wrong, guys, but the highest I've seen these stacks go is only about 3 stacks, which is still quite a nice bonus for the character to have. But it's really like not enough to make the character do like amazing, crazy god mode damage. So it's a nice little damage bonus, but that's pretty much about the first point. Now this one actually is incredibly useful in my opinion in a lot of, well, potentially a lot of Alliance War nodes, and also when you're playing the champion. So whenever you begin the fight, you're going to begin the fight with 8 stacks of armor up, and each one is going to increase your armor by, actually it's 6% on lower ranked Howards, but if you have them at 550 or rank 3 is a 5-star, it's going to be 7% armor per stack, which is actually a huge amount of armor to have at the start of the fight. It means that even if you do get hit, if you're not playing super great, you're not going to take as much damage. That starts off with like a 54% damage reduction, and each time the loader is stuck, there is only a 13% chance for a piece of armor to fall off, which means if you're not using an armor break champion or a Scarlet Witch to quickly nullify, then, you know, that armor is going to be up for quite a while, you know, for any champions that don't have a way to counter the armor up buff. Now, I think that's quite good for Alliance War Defense, and it's probably one of the strongest points about the character. I mean, when playing this champion, and generally, you know, when playing champions at endgame, you are going on the assumption that, when you're playing in the ideal scenario, you are not getting hit. You're never getting hit, so that's not too useful when you're actually attacking, but I guess it's a nice, like, fail-safe and buffer for people that, you know, do mess up occasionally, but that's really about it. I think that's quite good for, again, Alliance War Defense, because it's not going to be broken too quickly most of the time. But also, one of the things to bear in mind is that, you know, the Tier 1, the Tier 2, endgame Alliance Wars, like, everybody has a Scarlet Witch. Everybody has a Scarlet Witch, so that is just going to be absolutely torn through. And, yeah, it isn't going to be too effective, but it is going to slow down the fight a little bit more, you know, so if you cleverly place it on something like a bleed node, which a lot of people use Scarlet Witch to counter, then it might be pretty good. It might be pretty good. So, let's, well, actually, Ultron is also used to counter a bleed node, but, you know, I see a lot of people, well, I myself, I run over bleed nodes with Scarlet Witch, so maybe if you use this character, I think Electro is still better to place on the bleed node, because you win either way. You win either way with an Electro on a bleed node. So yeah, maybe not a bleed node, but I can't think of any super great placement for this guy at the moment. Now let's talk about the special attack one. So this places a debuff on the opponent, which reduces their armor, attack, block proficiency, regeneration rate, physical resistance, and crit chance by 6% for the remainder of the fight. Now this would be so amazing. It would be incredible. If it's stacked infinitely, like you could get to 17 stacks, the opponent would do no damage, couldn't regen anything, and the fight would basically just be GG. You'd be able to like win absolutely anything. Obviously, the skill and challenge would be lasting till 17 stacks, but unfortunately it does not do that. It only stacks to 4 stacks, which is very, very disappointing. I mean, that's helpful for certain fights for bypassing, you know, opponents that have a large amount of armor, or maybe are regenerating quite a bit. But for the most part, it's pretty slow, it's pretty useless. It's okay. Maybe not useless, maybe okay. But let's look at the special attack 2 now. The special attack 2, I think, is slightly more interesting. It's kind of like a wild card special attack. So how the Duck does on this is he spins around, so there's an initial attack there. So this actually won't work on an unblockable level 2, as I thought first, kind of speculated that'd be really good. And then he fires out a barrage of 6 missile hits, each having a 30% chance to activate one of 6 possible effects, which are Heal Block, Power Drain, Poison, Armor Break, Power Lock, or Shock. I think the Heal Block, Power Drain, and Power Lock are exceptionally valuable, but again, it's the inconsistency of this champion. Like, you know, generally if you want to play a champion for a specific effect, like countering healing or countering, you know, an insane or increased rate of power gain, you want to use a champion that's pretty reliable at doing that, and having a 30% chance to proc one of 6 random effects is very, very unreliable. I mean, it's fun, it's definitely fun to have, but in terms of like its practical use in the game, it's just going to be so wild and so unreliable that most of the time I don't think it's going to have much of an impact. But it's nice that you can get poison and armor break and shock for a little bit more damage. I think that's pretty good. And then finally, when we look at the special attack 3, the suit's Catalyst Absorber fires off, granting Howard a temporary buff for 9 seconds based on the opponent's class. While the buff is active, Howard's critical hits also gain a bonus effect. So this is something quite interesting. So a full list of all these abilities have yet to be released, and we do need to do a little bit more testing before we can find out, you know, exactly how good the level 3 is. But I don't think it's going to be enough. I don't think it's going to be enough. That is like the only thing he has left. So I'm really struggling, you know, with the list of abilities we have so far. As a champion that you play, he just seems too wild, too unpredictable to actually use. And as a champion that, you know, is a defender, he just, in comparison to champions like Spider-Man with his crazy evade, Ultron with reliable evade and regeneration, and, you know, all these other crazy Alliance War Defense champions, it doesn't seem like he has enough to kind of make it into even like the top 10 list of Alliance War Defenders. So overall, I love How the Duck, I love the flavor of the character, I love the animations, but I just don't know where he fits in the game, or if he's going to be like an exceptionally good character for anything. I could be totally wrong about this, so I'm very interested to see, you know, what are your thoughts on How the Duck and how this character could be used in a clever way in the game to actually be like a really good character. But so far, he just doesn't seem all that great to me. He seems very, kind of like, very average, guys, very average. So I'm a little bit disappointed. I've totally killed the How the Duck hype for myself. But anyway, let's get stuck in, guys. Let's do a quick match against, let's use the Hulk. I think the Hulk will be quite a good matchup for Master Mode How the Duck. Now, I guess one of the pros of How the Duck is that his level 2 especially is very difficult to fully evade and avoid. But again, when you're fighting like a Scarlet Witch or Captain America in Alliance War, that really doesn't, you know, doesn't matter too much, because you're either going to be able to block the damage or just power lock, power drain, or stun your way through that. Oh damn, we got hit by the heavy attack there. That wasn't super great. But let's keep going, see what we can do. Okay, we're gonna bait the heavy attack here. So as you can see, it's quite good for fighting the armor up buff, especially is really good for fighting the average champion. And that level 2, you know, against any character that can't block or deal with that, is gonna be quite powerful. I mean, in some of the lower tiered Alliance Wars, I think he's gonna be a really good defender, just because so many people won't know how to handle his animations. But I'm just thinking in terms of endgame, you know. He's very cool though, you cannot deny that he definitely has some of the most comical and amusing animations in the game. Okay, so he triggered the self-repair. Let's see if we can stun and interrupt that. So he didn't stun or interrupt that, which is pretty bad for the most part. Let's see what we can do here. We've got low health on Hulk, which means our damage is going to be insane. Oh damn, that's quite a big slap there. Okay, we are so close on the cusp of death here. But this has partly been me being pretty terrible at evading. Just too busy, too focused on talking about How the Duck, guys. Just got How the Duck on the mind. Okay, we managed to evade there, which is pretty good, Oh no, we got the final punch. We almost beat him, guys. We almost beat him with the 330 Hulk. I mean, if like I was a good player, he would have been down first time for sure. But yeah, we got hit by way too many missiles there. I think the thing is, as well, like, I think some people might be saying unblockable level 1, but he definitely like hits up first before he fires off. So again, you don't have that kind of like crazy node synergy there, so it isn't super great. There we go. Again, like the stacks of fury just aren't. If that stacked a little bit more, then he might be good as an offensive champion. But as you can see, it just goes so quickly. Okay, let's parry, and I think we need to save up for the level 2. He's just got so much armor that we're struggling to damage through that at the moment. Okay, there we go. So, How the Duck, guys, he is down. But anyway, hope you enjoyed this video, guys, on How the Duck. Interested to play this champion. He looks like so much fun to play, and I certainly cannot deny that. But yeah, thank you so much for watching the video, guys. If you did enjoy the video, if you learned a little bit more about How the Duck, feel free to hit that thumbs up button. That'd be greatly appreciated. Apart from that, guys, once again, thank you for watching the video. Take care, and have an absolutely fantastic day.